for all of those who don't know me, I'm Julian O'Neill. I'm the chair of the board of the credit union and will be your chair for the formal part of the event today. This is my third year in the role. I'd firstly like to welcome the Lord Mayor, members, staff and directors to this year's annual general meeting and election of officers. In terms of the housekeeping, this is our first virtual AGM that we've held, so please bear with us. However, we are in the capable hands of our trade association, ABCL, and Jackie Littlewood and our own Ian Brewer, who, along with myself and Chief Executive Andrew Bowker, will guide us through the event. If there are any questions as we go through, there's a question and answer button, or I'm told on an iPad it's just a question mark that you can actually ask questions on. And there will be polls that come up during the event, and you'll see those at the appropriate time. So if I could introduce the Lord Mayor, Councillor Doreen Lee, who will now formally open the event. Lord Mayor.
Yes, good. Thank you. Can you hear me, everyone? Yes, okay. Thank you, everybody, and thank you once again for inviting me to open this event. As Lord Mayor of Bradford, I am delighted to give a warm welcome to the members of the Bradford Credit Union, District Credit Union, should I say. This marks the first AGM as Weber and celebrates the milestone of passing of, I think we've got 8,000 members now, which is a huge achievement. We're considerable, to consider the partnership started about 3,000 5 years ago. So we acknowledge the role of the board, the management team, and the staff and the members who've made all this happen for us. We value the partnership and the support of the Bradford Council and thank Councillor Susan Inchcliffe for a recent announcement and a further grant to support the financial inclusion work that we are about to undertake. And in the many other ways in helping us grow to be a relevance in the district. The Bradford Credit Union was one of the first credit unions to adopt online banking. I think that was in 2015. And now, in the time of COVID, we've been able to offer all our members a way to access their accounts online and through our new debit card. The pandemic has also highlighted that it is much more important than ever to help residents to get into the savings habit and to be able to access the low-cost loans. BDCU has been involved in a number of partner projects to help, such as the COVID 0% loan, which has been funded by Bradford Council, and that's to help those that have lost their jobs or have been furlonged to avoid loan sharks. And we will hear more about that later, I've been told. So, being a long-standing member of the credit union, I can personally see how the credit union assets members in many schemes: payroll savings, loans for employees, loans to assist vulnerable families, such as family loans, along with many other services, all helping people to become more financially secure. The Bradford Credit Union is now seen as a role model for financial inclusion partnership work, and it leads the Anti-Poverty Events Group. This group has helped to pool ideas and resources for a wider anti-poverty agenda in the district, with the credit union as its anchor. We have seen the credit union expand into Kirklees and Craven. We welcome members from those areas who have also joined us today, and we look forward to working with you. Please take time at the end to ask questions in the chat, which will be answered at the end of the webinar. And thank you all very much for giving me the opportunity once again to give you a few words and a welcome. I hope very much that you will all enjoy the rest of the meeting. And may I add that long may the credit union keep going in this district. It's vital. It's the most wonderful thing, and I personally would like to thank all its members and also a big thank you to all its very helpful staff. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Lord Mayor, for sparing the time to open our AGM today. I'm not sure actually whether you're able to stay with us or whether you have other engagements for the morning.
Unfortunately, I have got 2 more engagements, and this afternoon is the council budget for 2021-22. But
Right.
thank you for asking me, as I'd love to have stayed.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just before we move forwards, can I first of all just check that we have a quorum of people, 15 in total, including directors and staff, and that everybody except the directors and the staff have been entered into the prize draw, which we will draw later, and that there are no apologies from directors. Andrew, can I just check that with you?
Yeah, sorry, thank you. I can confirm that we have 31 attendees, therefore we are quorate.
Okay, thank you. So can I then start with a look at the minutes of the last meeting, which have been posted in advance? First of all, in terms of accuracy, and secondly, in terms of matters arising. This is the first opportunity for people to use their question and answer or question button. So are there any questions on those minutes, first of all, before we go to approve them? Okay, thank you. So first of all, could I propose those minutes and ask for somebody on the panel to second those minutes, please? Ian, thank you. Second those minutes. So this is the first opportunity for us to put a poll up. So Jackie, can we put up the poll for people to vote in terms of accepting those minutes, please?
So I'll just do the test poll so people get used to using the technology.
Yeah, okay.
So just a quick one, just to everybody gets the look and feel of the technology. So what's the weather like in your area this afternoon? We put snowy on there last week because it was snowy, but I don't think we need it today. So we've got 77% of people that voted so far. 81% people are just finding their way around the control panel.
Okay.
We've got 88% of people that have voted so far. So it looks like it's quite neat, so 92%. Well done. Gone up to 96%. So it just show how the results will
show.
That's
Brilliant.
how the results will show. So going to the first poll.
Okay, so this is the poll for the last year's minutes then, please. So yes, no, or abstain. If I could ask people to vote on that, please. Jackie, do we have a result?
We've got 88% people voted, and it's 92%. So jump to close it at 92%.
Yes, thank you. Everybody said yes, hopefully.
Yes, and
great.
those are the same that weren't in attendance. So.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you for taking part in that and confirming those minutes. So we now come to the annual reports, firstly from myself on the performance of the credit union during the year, and then on the financial report from our Treasurer, Ian Fletcher, who, as you can see, is on the panel, following which we will approve the audited accounts, hopefully, and also propose that on this occasion, unfortunately, there will not be a dividend. So if I start with my own report, in line with most businesses and individuals, the COVID pandemic has made 2020 a very challenging year for the credit union. In terms of first, the impact it has had on the way that we've had to operate, closure of the office and staff working at home with more online contact and card usage for members. We're pleased also that the Optimus cards were distributed quickly in line with the first lockdown. In addition to that, we have seen an increase in our fairly fixed cost base in terms of IT costs and equipment, and also associated costs with having to work at home. There's been a reduction in the loan book, which Ian will come on and talk about a little bit later, caused by the lockdown and reduced demand of loans, which in turn has reduced the loan interest income that we receive from members. There's also been a reduction in the interest that we've earned from the surplus cash that we hold. And all of these factors have impacted on the bottom line and left us with a small deficit, which again you'll see shortly. Even after the grant support that we received from Fair for All of £50,000 and other support from the council and other stakeholders who provided their help. Unfortunately, as I just mentioned, this leads us in a position where we're unable to pay a dividend to members this year. And Ian will provide further detail of these numbers when he goes through the audited figures in a few moments. However, it is not all negative. There are some positives that have come out of the last 12 months. First of all, I'm very proud of the way in which the staff team have stepped up during the pandemic and continue to provide excellent service to our members. I'd just like to say formally thank you very much for your ongoing commitment. Secondly, we have seen members increase. As the Lord Mayor mentioned a few moments ago, we've gone above 8,000 members now, and we've also seen an increase in deposits during the year. As mentioned, our online offering continues to develop, and we have launched the family loan and COVID loan, the latter at 0% interest, with support from the council and in communities, detail of which can be found on the website. In addition, we've got Kirklees Council payroll members are growing in number by the day. The financial inclusion work and events that Ian Brewer has arranged have gained local, national and even international fame on the radio and the TV, not to mention the social media activity that's been generated. And I'd like to say a big thank you to Ian for a great year's work. Thank you very much. To give you a further flavour of what Ian's been doing this year, he's going to say a few words himself now, and also he's going to play you a brief clip from a BBC News video. Ian, over to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you all members for coming to join us today. Yes, it's been an outstanding time in the sense that we've been able to respond to the pandemic through the anti-poverty events group that we lead. By pooling together the resources, as the Lord Mayor says, we were able to do a number of events, both online in forms of webinars, as well as working with Artworks to produce some activity packs that have gone out to people to help them during the pandemic. So what you're going to see next is a video. We launched a particular COVID 0% loan for people furloughed and redundant. That was a trial that went on BBC News, and this is what you're going to see, along with the loan shark work that we do. And Michelle Taylor, our member and also part of the anti-poverty events group, will explain what's happening in our communities. So Jackie, if we can have the video.
Okay, first of all, thanks Jackie for that. Thanks for showing that, and Ian. That's the sort of publicity that I guess you can't really buy. So, thank you very much for all the work that you've done during the last 12 months and for, arranging publicity such as that, which I think is absolutely excellent for the credit union. So thanks again for that. So just to continue on my sort of comments, we're very proud to report another positive member survey for this year, with 30% responding and 90% saying that customer service and value for money were good or very good, and 85% very or extremely satisfied with the credit union as a whole. Again, an excellent result, and one that other financial organisations would die for. In terms of the future then, I think that it's fair to say that this will be a further challenging year. We were just starting to see recovery of loan applications to historic levels when we went into the current third lockdown, and this has again stifled applications. Depending on how this plays out will clearly impact the rest of the current year. However, we are investing in marketing, which should help us to rebound as people begin to get vaccinated, the economy opens up again, and people look forward and start to spend again and request loans from us. So hopefully things will begin to improve once that takes place. In addition to the staff, which I already mentioned, I'd also like to say a big thank you to our Chief Executive, Andrew Bowker, for holding everything together in what I know has been a very difficult time. Thank you for all the hard work that you've put in during the year, Andrew. Much appreciated. Thank you. I'd also like to thank a few other people, if you'll indulge me for a moment or two. Firstly, my fellow directors, who, as you know, are all volunteers. Our internal auditors, KJ from Cllr, our key stakeholders being Bradford Council in communities and others and their various departments which have helped us, and specifically to mention the Bradford Council payroll team, mentioned Sue Brealey and the team in the Council Finance Office, who also support our debt recovery process, and the City Hall customer service team, reception and security, who look after us and help us every day. Also to mention Kirklees Council and their payroll team, where things that I mentioned earlier on are sort of moving forwards quite nicely. And finally, but certainly not least, to say thank you to Jackie for all the work that she's put in today to arrange this and for making things go smoothly. Can I now ask Ian Fletcher to present the audited accounts and provide a financial report for the year, along with appointment of the external auditors? Ian, over to you.
Okay.
Got you. Yeah.
Now. Great.
Yes.
It seems a little strange to be able to talk to you, but not be able to see you all this morning. I want really to just follow through from what the Lord Mayor and Julian have been saying. This has very much been a year of two halves. We have a September year end, and as you will all remember, it was in March of last year that the pandemic hit with the first of the lockdowns. And this has very much influenced our figures for the year. All was going in accordance with plan until we reached March of 2020. And we didn't really expect what happened to happen, but we anticipated. So we were able to start to alter the way in which we were operating before the first lockdown hit us. And many of you as members will have seen that happening in terms of us being able to issue the Optimus card before the effects of the lockdown meant that we had to close the office. The accounts for the year are set out on pages 1 to 35, which of the accounts document, which is shown in the handouts box on your computers, and also which you've had access to from the website. The starting of the report and accounts is shown pages 1 through to 8 is the director's report. And again, the society, as already been said, has had a very positive effect on the welfare of people in the Bradford district. We've been able to do lots of things to help alleviate the effects of the pandemic. And it's good to remind ourselves sometimes, as we do on page 3, of why we exist. As was said in the TV item, you know, we exist in order to be a viable and accessible alternative. We want to be known across the Common Bond area as a modern and ethical organisation, supporting and encouraging savings, budgeting, and of course lending. And we want to expand our membership in a sustainable way, particularly to financially excluded communities, and to assist in increasing the level of financial literacy. That is the purpose of us as a credit union. And it's great that this year we just before the year end reached the 8,000 member figure. That figure continues to grow, it continues to show how we are relevant to what's going on. And our financial inclusion work has been fantastic. Ian Brewer probably hides his light a little bit under a bushel, but he has done some tremendous work, both for the credit union and in organising other people within the district in the work that they do. So the credit union gives a complete added value outcome to other folks' work as well as to our own. So I would say to you, do read through that director's report, which tells you, some of the work which is going on in your name and some of the successes which we've had in terms of that work. There's a summary of results shown on page 6, which emphasises the increase that we've achieved in our membership, the increase that we've achieved in our savings deposit. We have been struggling in terms of member loans. We've got money available to lend for loans, suitable loans. There have been issues with regard to repayment of loans, but what we have noted during the pandemic is less people coming forward wanting to take out loans. So our loan book has shrunk, and that means that our income has shrunk. And of course, this took place during the second half of the financial year. So Julian has drawn attention to the effect that that may have on our figures for the coming year. What we would like to do is to grow the loan book, but with good loans. On page 9, we have the audit report, which takes us through from pages 9 to 11. In my day, when I started as an accountant, audit reports used to be 2 or 3 lines, as opposed to 2 or 3 pages. But it is a clean report. So the auditors have signed us off for another year with a clean report, which is a good thing. In fact, it actually goes through to page 12 now. So pages 9 to 12. Page 13 shows our revenue account for the year. And as Julian has said, we have ended up with a small deficit on the year. That is good news in many ways, given what we've gone through. Normally, I would have sat here and said to you, this is bad news. We don't want to make a deficit, but given some of the things which we've been faced with, which have increased our costs, undoubtedly. We've had to respond to closing the office by spending on IT, by other expenditures. There have been 1 or 2 items of expenditure where we've saved, but we've had increased working costs and we've had reduced income as a result. But we have been able to anticipate all of that. Nothing ultimately surprised us. It certainly wasn't what we were planning for, but we were able to anticipate and to adjust our ways of working. And for me personally, it was a great joy when we sent out the last of the Optimus cards to people that were wanting them while the office was still open in order to dispense cash. So everybody had a card before we had to close the office. And we are, in respect of the office, at some degree at the mercy of Bradford Council, because obviously Bradford City Hall is still closed as a result of the current lockdown. Let's hope that the vaccine soon sees things going to a new normal, and that there will be no more lockdowns. Page 14 is the comprehensive income statement. Page 15 is our balance sheet, and you can see there, particularly the second half of that page, the increase in members' shares as our saving balances have increased, and also there are our reserves, which are very important to enable us to be sustainable going forward. Our loans to members up near the top of that page is the slightly worrying thing, 2.846 million as against 3.357 million, which emphasises our need to look to make loans of course, we've bought rather more cash at bank than we would actually wish to have. Changes in equity at page 16, 17, and then our statement of cash flows at page 18. And then we come to the notes. And of course, it is all one document. The notes explain the figures that go before them. And those of you that have difficulty in sleeping at night might like to try reading through all the notes prior to finding that you can't sleep. Hopefully, none of you will make it to the end before nodding off. For accountants, of course, the notes are very important, and we enjoy the numbers. Some of the details given there are rather long-winded, you may think, but nonetheless, they are necessary, and they are all important to an understanding of the accounts. At page 33, 34 and 35, we show there the detail. These are not part of the statutory accounts. The statutory accounts actually finish at page 32. But you've got there the figure that Julian made particular reference to, interest on members' loans, 531,000 as against 564,000. And that is a figure which worries us a little bit for 2021, because obviously for that year we start with a lower loan book than we did last year, and our hope is that that loan book will finish with a higher figure than the one that we started with this year. So I welcome questions if anybody has any questions. I gather that there are no questions through on the tab at the moment, but if anybody has any questions regarding the accounts, now would be the time to send those through. I will ask you just to receive those accounts in a moment. We've got on the agenda 5A, receiving the accounts, which we will go to a poll for. 5B is the decision not to pay a dividend, which is just to confirm that. We felt that because of the deficit and because of perhaps the situation for the current year, we couldn't recommend a dividend this time, although we would have liked to. And then 5C, we propose the appointment of Halliday's for a further year as our external auditors. So if we have no questions, can we perhaps go to the poll to receive the annual report and financial statements for the year ended 30th September 2020. And this is your chance, please, to vote on that, yes or no. And Jackie, if you can tell us when we've reached the...
It's 87%, and it's a unanimous yes.
Right.
90% now.
So I think that is passed. And if we could go then to the poll for the approval of the decision not to pay a dividend for the year. Yes or no? And Jackie, if you can.
We're up to 8%, 83, 87, and it's a unanimous yes. 90% we're up to.
That's super. So that is passed. And the appointment of Halliday's as the external auditor for the coming year. Again, it's yes or no.
Straight in at 87%, and it's a unanimous yes. 90% now. Unanimous, yes.
That's good. So that's passed. Thank you, Jackie. Back to you, Julian, for the election of directors.
Okay, thank you. Just check with Jackie and Ian that there's no questions at the moment before we go on to election of the directors. Ian, is there anything you can see on the... No?
No.
Okay, so moving on then in terms of the agenda to the election of directors. Just before we take this item, it's with great sadness that I have to report that one of our recent directors, Steve Bicker, passed away during the year. He joined us in February 2015 and left the board due to ill health in September 2020. I would just like to remember him and the contribution that he made to the board. Thank you. Can I also thank Jan Smithies, who also resigned due to other commitments in June 2020 and has left the board. Just at this point, we do continue to look for interested members to join the board. And if this is something that interests you, please would you send us an email after the event or after the meeting. We're looking for people at this moment in time. We have a certain number of directors who we can have on the board. We're not up to that number. So if there are any members out there who are interested, if they would just contact us, and then we can sort of take that further. So this year we have 3 directors for re-election: Peter Judge, Dave Dickens and Martin Stubbs, and 1 co-opted director for election to the board, Anna Mitchell. If I could take these in 2 separate polls, please. So first of all, re-election of Peter, Dave and Martin, and I would propose that those 3, if I could again get somebody to second that, please. Ian, thank you. So Jackie, can we have the poll, please, for re-election of Peter, Dave and Martin? Okay, how's that looking, Jackie?
We're up to 87% and it is a unanimous vote.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so if we could have the second poll then, please, to elect Anna to the board. Again, I would propose, and I'm hoping that Ian will second. And so if we could have the poll on there, please, as well.
Again, we're up to 93, 97% and it's a unanimous yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everybody for that. Okay, if I go back to the agenda, the next item, item 7, is the prize draw, and I'm going to hand over to Andrew and Jackie to deal with the prize draw. I know I think we've got a wheel, haven't we, that we're going to spin in a moment, but I'll hand it over to you, Andrew.
Yep, thank you, and thank you, members. Thank you, Julian, and thank you, the 2 Ians, for the reports. I'm now in the hands of Jackie here for a wheel of fortune. By that, I mean all members that are attending, not directors or staff. Their names are on the wheel. We're going to spin the wheel, and there are 3 prizes. The first draw is £40, second one £30, and third one £20. The funds will be paid into the members' accounts unless they wish to put it to a charity, which we will be talking about after the draw. So I'm now going to pass to Jackie and ask her to spin the first draw for £40.
Just check whether James is with us.
Got somebody?
Yeah, James is with us. That's the
Well
first
done, James.
one. That's James Newton.
Well done, James. £40 will go into your credit union account. And now we'll go for a second one, if we can. I tell you, the Wheel of Fortune, you've got nothing on this.
We've got Margaret. I'll just see whether Margaret's with us.
Well done, Margaret.
Yes, Margaret's with us. Margaret's with us.
Well done.
That's great. And if we can go for the third.
And Julie's with us as well.
Well done, Julie. Again, we'll put the £20 into your account. It's a great shame this year that we haven't been able to have a meeting and basically have food, etc., for people to enjoy when they're having the AGM. So we have a fund available, and the credit union, the board recommended that we make a donation to a charity called No Child Cold. During lockdown, thousands of children are at home who will normally be at school, but many families in our district are struggling to pay the bills and to heat their homes while their children are at home learning. As a result of lockdown, 75,000 children in Bradford District are currently at home all day, every day, at a time of year when temperatures have, as you know, recently reached very low levels. And 21,000 of these children are living in homes where pressure of the pandemic means that families are struggling financially. No Child Cold has been set up by Bradford Partners to make sure that no child in Bradford District is left cold this winter as a result of the lockdown. So therefore, the credit union is making a donation of £250 to this charity. I hope you agree with that, but thank you. I think it'll help going somewhere to the population of Bradford. And thank you. Thank you. I hope that was a little bit light-hearted. I apologise we haven't had a quiz this year. Maybe we'll aim for that next year. But I'll pass that back to Julian now for A or B.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Jackie, for that. So is there any other business that anybody wanted to raise? So I'm going to just give people a moment or two just to raise any other business on the question or question and answer tab. And then perhaps, Ian, if you just check that for me and just see if there's anything on there in a moment or two. So opportunity to ask any questions that people want, or also any other business that people want to raise.
There's nothing on the questions coming through.
Okay. So in terms of any other business, then I'll take that as no any other business. And in terms of questions, can I take that as no questions as well? Ian?
There are no questions on the chat side now.
Okay. So without further ado, if anybody wants to contact us after the meeting with any sort of personal question that they might have, then please do so. If there is anybody interested in joining the board, then again, please let us know via email. And it only just sort of leaves to me to say thank you for attending. Thanks to everybody, and thanks specifically to Jackie and Abcor for putting on the event for us. So thank you very much, and see you next year.
Thank you. Well done.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. So to leave the AGM, if you just click on the file at the top of your control panel, so click in File and Leave Webinar. So just click up to the top of your control panel and then Leave Webinar, Exit Webinar. So Peter did say thank you for the support. So just help people along. So to leave the webinar, just click in the control panel at the top, exit, and then leave webinar.